everyone, today I'll be sharing with you my first ever book haul, so let's get right down to business. The first two books that I purchased this month were A Breath of Snow and Ashes as well as An Echo in the Bone, both written by Diana Gabaldon. So these are actually the 6th and 7th books in her Outlander series. I've only actually read the first book, but I do plan on continuing on with the others very shortly. For those of you who are not familiar with Outlander, it follows a woman named Claire Randall who, while traveling through Scotland in 1945 with her husband, she comes across a set of standing stones and accidentally gets transported 200 years into the past when she touches one of these stones. And so, we follow Claire as she tries to find her way back to the present while surviving conflict between the British as well as the Scottish clansmen. Outlander was also made into a television show on Starz, which I highly recommend you check out. Next I picked up Shouldn't You Be in School, which is the 3rd installment in the All the Wrong Questions series by Lemony Snicket. So this series follows Lemony Snicket as a young boy as he tries to solve a mysterious case in a town called Stained by the Sea. Then I picked up The Blood of Olympus, which is the 5th and final book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Riordan. This book also came with a pretty cool, ever so useful bookmark, so always a bonus to get one of these. I won't say too much about this book in particular to avoid spoilers, but for those of you who are not familiar with the Percy Jackson series, it all began with the original Percy Jackson and the Olympians, where our good friend Percy Jackson discovers that he is a demigod. This means that his mother is a mortal human being, but his father is actually Poseidon, Greek god of the sea. And so cue in some awesome adventures, some quests, as well as a wide array of secondary characters. This series is pretty epic and I highly recommend it to anyone. Then I picked up Shopaholic to the Stars, which is the latest book in the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella, also known as Madeline Wickham. And so this book just follows Becky Bloomwood, who has a slight obsession with shopping. So hopefully this book will just prove to be a nice, fun, light read, just like the others of the series. The next 4 books that I have were actually given to me by a very good friend of mine. He noticed that I was actually starting to branch out and kind of discovered the graphic novel as well as the comic book genres. And so he did some research and found a few titles that he thought I might be interested in. And then spoiled me immensely on my birthday. So the first of these is the epic fantasy Rat Queens, which is written by Kurtis J. Wiebe and artwork by Upchurch. This is the first volume titled Sass and Sorcery, which compiles the first 5 issues of the comic series. And so this series follows the Rat Queens, who are a group of 4 traveling adventurers, an elven mage, a dwarf, a human cleric, and a halfling thief. And so these first volumes follow them as they're sent on a quest only to discover that it was actually a trap and they must now fight against assassins as well as other enemies that they made along the way. And then the story just kind of evolves from there. And this is pretty interesting, but on the back it's described as a monster-killing epic that is like Buffy meets Tank Girls, all in the Lord of the Rings world on crack. Sounds pretty interesting and epic, and the artwork also looks very impressive, so I do look forward to diving into this and seeing what I think. The next book I have is the first volume in the fantasy comic series Bone, written and illustrated by Jeff Smith. So this is the first book out for Boneville, which follows the 3 Bone cousins as they're run out of town and then they each get lost and separated in a desert. I assume that each of the cousins then go on some sort of adventure. I know this kind of sucks as a summary, but I don't want to get too much information before I dive into this book. I will, however, let you know what I think once I do get around to reading it. Following that, I have the graphic novel Seconds, written and illustrated by Bryan Lee O'Malley. He is also the creator behind the Scott Pilgrim series. And so Second follows a girl named Katie, who is a chef and owns a successful restaurant. Her life in general seems pretty awesome, until one day everything starts to go downhill, both in her personal and professional lives. Lucky for Katie, a mysterious girl shows up one day, offering her second chances. All Katie has to do is write down her mistake, eat the mysterious mushroom, fall asleep, and then wake up and everything is new. And so as you can imagine, Katie starts getting used to having all these new beginnings and second chances, but she then discovers that there are some unintended consequences to the changes she's made. This sounds very interesting and I'm looking forward to diving into this book. Lastly, I have the first volume in the Adventure Time comics based on the television show of the same name created by Pendleton Ward. The comic itself was written by Ryan North and illustrated by Shelli, Paroline, and Braden. And so this book follows the adventures of best pals Finn the Human and Jake the Dog in the land of Ooo. This particular volume follows Jake and Finn as they get help from their friends to defeat the evil skeleton dude named the Lick, who is bent on destroying the world. I haven't actually seen any of the TV show, but I am intrigued to read this because there are many people on the internet who do talk about this series, and the artwork looks pretty colorful as well. So once again, a big thank you goes out to my very good friend for these last 4 books. And lastly, this isn't a book per se, but it is book related, and I thought I would include it just because I adore it so much. I have a pop vinyl doll of Tyrion Lannister from the series A Song of Ice and Fire, and this was given to me by my younger brother for my birthday, so a big thank you goes out to him. So that's all I have for my book haul this month. Let me know in the comments below what book you've acquired this month that you're most excited for. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you